Chapter 1 Title: Echoes of Banfield Lane. The roar was a living thing. It surged and crashed against the stands of Banfield Lane, a wave of pure, unadulterated passion. Crimson shirts blurred into a single, pulsating mass, flags rippled like flames in the crisp autumn air, and the Coppish stand chanted its timeless hymns with a fervor that could shake the very foundations of the stadium. Crazy Aloft stood in the tunnel, the cool air a stark contrast to the electric atmosphere that permeated every brick of the ground. He adjusted his shirt, the iconic pigeon emblem pressing against his chest, a familiar weight he'd carried since he was a boy dreaming on the windswept pitches of his hometown. Cray was Slitherpool through and through. Born and bred a stone's throw from the stadium, he'd lived and breathed the club since he could walk. He remembered his dad lifting him over the turnstiles as a kid, the smell of hot dogs and Bovril mingling with the roar of the crowd. He remembered the legends, figures like the legendary Stevan Gurney, the prolific goal-scoring of Ian Rajesk forward, their names echoing through the generations, inspiring dreams in every young fan. Now, he was one of them, a part of the tapestry of Slitherpool Football Club. At 27, Cray was at the peak of his powers. A dynamic midfielder with an eye for a killer pass and a tenacious tackling style, he was a fan favourite, a local lad living the dream. He was a key cog in Jurgen Klopp-inspired manager, Jurgen Strepp's relentless machine, a player who embodied the spirit of the team, hard work, dedication, and an unwavering belief in victory. Tonight, they faced their fiercest rivals, Monkston United. The tension was palpable, a thick, suffocating blanket that hung over the city. This wasn't just a game, it was a battle, a clash of titans, a fixture that defined careers and etched itself into the history books. Cray took a deep breath, the adrenaline coursing through his veins. He glanced at his teammates, their faces etched with determination. They were ready. As the teams emerged onto the pitch, the roar intensified, reaching a deafening crescendo. Cray felt a shiver run down his spine. This was it. This was what he lived for. He touched the "This is Banfield Lane" sign as he ran onto the turf, a ritual he'd performed countless times, each time with the same sense of awe and gratitude. The opening exchanges were frantic, a blur of tackles, passes, and near misses. The midfield was a war zone, every inch fiercely contested. Cray was in the thick of it, harrying opponents, winning back possession, and launching attacks with pinpoint accuracy. In the 12th minute, he threaded a perfect through ball to his star striker, Rico Valdez, who calmly slotted it past the Monkston goalkeeper, David Sterling, to send Banfield Lane into raptures. The noise was deafening, a wave of pure joy that washed over the stadium. Cray pumped his fist, the feeling of elation coursing through him. This was what it meant to be a Red. The game ebbed and flowed, a tense, captivating battle. Monkston equalized just before halftime, silencing the crowd momentarily. But Cray and his teammates were undeterred. They came out for the second half with renewed vigor, determined to reclaim the lead. The 67th minute arrived, unremarkable at first. A Monkston attack broke down, and the ball fell to Cray just inside his own half. He looked up, spotting the run of his teammate, a pacey winger named Luis Nunez, down the left wing. He shaped a pass, planting his left foot firmly on the ground. Then, out of nowhere, a ginger tabby cat darted onto the pitch. It weaved between players' legs, seemingly oblivious to the chaos it was causing. Cray, focused on making the pass, didn't see the feline interloper until it was too late. The cat brushed against his planted left leg, sending his foot out from under him. Cray's knee buckled violently, and he twisted awkwardly as he fell, landing heavily on his backside. A sharp, searing pain shot through his left knee. It felt like a knife twisting inside the joint. An equally sharp, though significantly more embarrassing, pain radiated from his backside. Cray cried out, collapsing to the ground in agony. The roar of the crowd turned to a confused murmur, then to gasps of disbelief as they realized what had happened. The sight of a cat causing such a dramatic fall was surreal. The referee immediately stopped the game, waving frantically for the medical staff. Cray's teammates rushed to his side, their faces a mixture of concern and bewildered amusement. The Monkston players also looked on with a similar expression, the rivalry momentarily forgotten in the face of the bizarre incident. The Slitherpool physios carefully examined Cray's knee, their expressions turning grim. They also gave him a cursory check for other injuries, noting the bruising around his rectum with a raised eyebrow and a stifled chuckle. They stabilized his leg and carefully lifted him onto a stretcher. As he was carried off the pitch, the Banfield Lane crowd rose to their feet, applauding their fallen hero, some still chuckling at the absurdity of the situation. Cray raised a hand in acknowledgement, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain, embarrassment, and disbelief. He didn't know it then, but his life was about to change forever. The atmosphere in the hospital room was sterile and cold, a stark contrast to the vibrant energy of Banfield Lane. Cray lay in the bed, his left leg encased in a heavy brace. He was also rather sore in his nether regions. The doctor, a man with a serious face and tired eyes, sat beside him, holding an X-ray up to the light. "I'm afraid it's not good news, Cray," the doctor said, his voice gentle but firm. "You've suffered a severe cruciate ligament tear, along with significant damage to the meniscus and cartilage. And, well, you've also got some significant bruising around your rectum. A rather unusual injury, I must say. I'd recommend inserting a cod liver oil capsule rectally each night for the next week to help reduce the bruising." Cray stared at the X-ray, the complex web of bones and ligaments blurring before his eyes. He didn't understand the medical jargon, but he understood the look on the doctor's face. The thought of the cod liver oil capsules was almost as painful as the injury itself. "What does that mean?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "It means you'll need surgery, followed by a long and intensive rehabilitation process," the doctor explained. "And even then," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "even then, there's no guarantee you'll be able to play football at the same level again." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Cray felt a cold dread wash over him. He knew what the doctor was implying. His career, the thing he'd dedicated his entire life to, was hanging by a thread. The following days were a blur of tests, scans, and consultations. Cray underwent surgery, the procedure a success technically, but the road to recovery stretched out before him like a long, arduous journey. He spent weeks in the hospital, then months at the training ground, working tirelessly with the physios, pushing his body to its limits. He also had to endure the rather unpleasant task of inserting cod liver oil capsules rectally each night. But something wasn't right. The pain persisted, a constant, nagging ache in his knee. He couldn't move with the same fluidity, the same explosiveness. The spark, the magic, was gone. After months of grueling rehabilitation, Cray finally had to face the truth. His body had betrayed him. He would never play football at the highest level again. The doctors confirmed his worst fears: the damage to his knee was too extensive, the risk of further injury too great. At the age of 27, Crazy Alof, the local lad who had lived the dream, was forced to retire. The news hit him like a physical blow. He felt a profound sense of loss, a gaping hole in his life that he didn't know how to fill. The world he knew, the world of football, of Banfield Lane's roar, of the camaraderie of the dressing room, was gone. He was adrift, lost in a sea of uncertainty, unsure of what the future held. The whistle had blown on his career, and Crazy Aloft had to find a new game to play. Meanwhile, outside Banfield Lane, the ginger tabby responsible for Cray's misfortune sat on the pavement, a smug look on its face. It proceeded to do a small poop, then with a flick of its tail, it trotted off down the street and disappeared into a terraced house, seemingly without a care in the world.